This story is called Kimmy. I suppose some people show up to the doors of an anonymous 12-step meeting ready to begin sobriety with a big smile on their face. I, however, did not start my sober first day in any form of fashion. Oh, I had driven by the sober building, seen the meeting schedule on the door. Because I certainly didn't need that kind of help, I always drove on. Months later, on a grimy, starless night in August, I wandered around my backyard in flannel pajamas with a drink in one hand and a cigarette in the other, feeling good and sorry for myself, blaming the shrub I had fallen into for the train wreck of my life. The next thing I knew, it was morning, and I was slumped on the deck chaise as the hard Oklahoma sun beat down on my face. I looked around at the clock outdoor and saw that I had just enough time to make it to the 10 o'clock sobriety meeting. Who wakes up like that? Hungover, sunburned, wretched, and miserable, and my first thought is that I can make it to a 12-step meeting in a rundown old building? I pondered that question as I weaved across town, listening to the tires on the gravel under my car as I drove around and around and around the parking lot. Still in my flannel pajamas, cigarette burned out between my fingers, and the smell of vodka-soaked Bloody Mary mix in my ratty, twig-infested hair. Bloody feet, the shrub's fault. I knew I could not walk in that door. I tried to put on lipstick, like you do. Somehow parked the car and stood at the threshold of this gathering of happy, smiling, laughing, sober people. I cried when I got a glimpse of myself in the mirror in the entryway. Oh, I was a pretty girl. A woman approached me and said, "Oh, honey, my name's Flora. Come sit by me." I sat down next to this lovely lady and looked around the room. Nobody scowled or laughed at me with my clown pink lipstick. They all looked Kmart casual. Except one woman who was sitting across the room who looked like she was going to a debutante garden party. Flora said her name was Kimmy. Now, and I said, "Is she like the teacher or the president of the meeting?" "No, she's just one of the friendly folks." Friendly, ha! Kimmy certainly didn't regard me with anything other than a phony, toothy grin. I was certain that Kimmy, beautiful and confident, would be my Achilles heel forever. It seemed that at many of the turning points in that first year of sobriety, key moments where I really needed somebody to acknowledge the work that I was doing for the group, for my step work, to work on myself, somebody would acknowledge me. But there was Kimmy, always stealing the spotlight. And she didn't have to try very hard. Stunning, annoyingly happy, always smiling. I hated Kimmy. My second year of sobriety coincided with a community sober event where our group competed against a 12-step collective from across town in a baseball game, a matchup, a barbecue, music, a delightful sober day. I really felt part of. I fit in. Until, you guessed it, a brand new Thunderbird car pulls into the dusty parking lot of the baseball field, and out comes Kimmy, dressed like a rhinestone cheerleader. I was never a cheerleader, and so joy was quickly replaced by green-eyed jealousy. Time passed, and the excitement and the lights of sobriety came true for me. Life was fulfilling, and I was not the person that I thought I was, which was perpetually good news for all of America. And to the surprise of no one, I found someone to marry. And not just someone. This was the guy I'd had a crush on since I was 13 years old. Mike and I became the it couple of the group. Sobriety was wonderful. Summer, sober year 7. The usual July 4th fiasco. I hate pool parties, I always have. There's nothing redeeming about those events. This day, I sit in a mama cast caftan that I like to pass off as a swimsuit cover-up with no intention of ever uncovering and getting into that pool. It is hot. It is always hot. I sit as though enshrined in a rainbow tent on some sort of uncomfortable Craigslist lawn chair that's just a little less wide than my hips. If I eat any of the barbecue, I'll look like a hunched-over Jabba the Hutt feasting on a giant turkey leg. Mike stands at the barbecue with the other husbands, who all wear mid-calf length surfer swim trunks, thin open shirts that partially cover their little tummies, and Jesus sandals that reveal more pedicure hygiene truths than any of us really want to know. Fortunately, my girlfriends wear similar cover-ups, and the party is sort of fun. Until clickety, 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 click. It sounds like rats running across the pavement. My friends and I lower our sunglasses and look to the ground to see the 8-inch red patent leather stiletto heels of Kimmy. We shield our eyes to reflect the sun as it gleams off her sequined red, white, and big boob blue bikini. Practically blinded we are. Kimmy is preposterous, and she's my age. OMG. Hi, everyone. Even in those days, that acronym was lame. Gee whiz, am I late? My friends and I lower our glasses again and roll our eyes at each other, silently cursing this pitiful Marilyn Monroe imitation. Golly, I was in such a hurry getting ready, I forgot to make anything. Should I go to the store and get some yogurt? Yogurt? We who have made never-fail chocolate cake, melt in your mouth creamy coleslaw, and southern corn pudding are disgusted. How gauche. How socially awkward and unsophisticated. We fume. Kathy shifts dramatically in her squeaky canvas deck chair. Everyone is furious, except our husbands, who can't rush in and assure Kimmy enough that we have plenty of food. And can't they make her a plate? Mike drops his spatula, I still say on purpose, right at Kimmy's feet, bends over to pick it up while Kimmy chortles, Golly gee, Mike, you're all thumbs. How those hamburgers coming there, Mike? I challenge. Did I mention we hate Kimmy? While the boys surround Kimmy like pimple-faced, horny teenagers under the bleachers with a Playboy magazine, the girls and I slip out the patio door, change clothes, take our husbands' charge cards, and head for the mall. They'll pay for this one, all right. Fall comes and Kimmy is ousted from all social events. Halloween? Hell no. I'm not going to sit there with Kimmy in some slutty French maid costume again. Thanksgiving, our husbands say, it's the Christian duty to show gratitude and thanks. Great, we say in unison. Then you guys can do all the cooking, and instead of football, we'll watch rom-coms. Kimmy is deleted from that guest list immediately. Christmas ski trip to Aspen? Are you crazy? Kimmy as a snow bunny? No way. Job well done, ladies. Kimmy is out. Problem solved. 20 years passed and Kimmy became a distant memory. Until I was back home for a visit, went to the Piggly Wiggly, breezed into the grocery store, stopped dead in my tracks. There down the aisle, sitting like a wilted ghost flower in a wheelchair, hunched over, gray and sad, was Kimmy. I turned a sharp left, raced down aisle 12, listening to the sound of the squeaky cartwheels. For reasons that I cannot explain, I abandoned the cart and turned right to Kimmy's aisle. Kimmy looked up at me with delicately opaque blue eyes. OMG, hey. Our Kimmy was still in there somewhere. I smiled, gracious and kind, thinking that those distant memories had surely faded with her health. Until, golly gee, I remember that pool party. I was so sad when you all left. It was lonely. I was stuck there with those men, hoping you'd come back, but you never did. You never did come back. I gently hugged her tiny shoulders and apologized, hoping that was the end of her memory. And I used to like Sunday fellowship, but then I never got invited. I never knew why. Guess y'all got busy. I kissed the wispy-haired top of her little head. Y'all, I have scanned the dictionary looking for words that can express to you how awful I felt. standing there in that aisle looking down at that pitiful, frail creature, the woman I had shunned and ousted from our precious inner circle. In a sobriety program of love and tolerance, I had been determined to hold on to my Kimmy resentment. And why? Because Kimmy was everything I could never be. Va-va-voom, with a perfect figure, breathy little voice, and shoes that she could not fall off of. She was the epitome of glamour, the object of appeal to our goofball husbands, and I held her in disdain. Everyone loved her, and I was a recovering misanthrope. I thought her appearance was designed to steal my husband, who, quite frankly, I'm not sure anybody would have really wanted, and ride off into the sunset. I was sure she was an evil vixen infidel. Turns out I was wrong. And so I sat on the floor of the food store, just under the canned goods, looked up at Kimmy in her chair, held her pretty little porcelain hand, and listened.